Hi, welcome to my channel, Make It in Solidworks. In this session, I'm going to be showing a little bit more on the details for making this plastic jerry can. In the last session, I demonstrated how to make the basics of this item. So today we'll be dealing with this set of faces and then the spout with its thread. So I'm going to hop across to a blank configuration. Well, not blank, but the basics. And the first thing I want you to notice about this model is that this edge fillet here, going all the way around, interferes or is in not the nicest place when it interferes with that fillet there, or that soft curve. So I want to move the handle over, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Well, you know how to do it, but I'm just going to reiterate how easy it is once you've got the dimensions in place. But before I do that, I need to also be able to put in some sort of geometry on this face here. And so I don't want to start that geometry without making sure that this is all okay. And in order to do that, I need to put the spout in place. So I'm going to hop onto that face and put a sketch in there, which I will locate quite simply by stretching from the middle of one edge to the middle of another edge like that, and then putting a circle using the center point, giving it a dimension of say 100. That's good enough. And then we will extrude that. I'm going to make it about 25. That looks good. Okay, and let's see if we can move this around. So in my last video, I had located the sketch using that dimension there and that dimension there. So I'm going to use that location there just to shift this about. Let's see what 30 does. That's almost right. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so now it's nicely centered, and I've made. I no longer have I've got the edge interfering. I've got that edge interfering with this edge, and it's sort of transversal across the top, not in the same plane. And this is better centered as well. Okay, so let's just add a little detail in here. A fillet of about 4 millimeters. That would be all right. And that gives me quite a tight edge between that and there. So I want to loosen that up a bit. So let's go back to the basics and let's see if we can just drop this down a bit. There we go. By dropping that edge there, I've opened up this space so that I've got a bit more room for the fillet to end before the top fillet here begins. All right, so that's the basics. And then what I want to do now is I want to create the face inside here. So once again, I'm going to go to my front plane, create a sketch. I'm going to locate that sketch by snapping to the origin, dragging it upwards. And then I want a rectangle. I just want a corner rectangle without any center lines inside because I've already got one. So I want something quite clean and easy to use. And I'm going to left drag and put in a symmetric dimension. And then simply position this. Remember, position, position, position. So let's give that a dimension of about 50, which we can alter later if we need to. Let's give this a dimension of 320, maybe a bit more. Yeah, that's a bit better. And I think I want to bring this one down a bit. So let's make that 40. Make that one go back up again. Okay, and I'm deliberately not being too polished here, just to show you that this is pretty much how I work, and you can also work. There's a lot of toing and froing inside a model once you're doing it. So this sketch here, if I were doing an extrusion, I would leave it as it is, but it's going to be used Well, it's going to be more ideal in this case to put in some fillets. So let's put some in. I'm going to make them about 20. Let's make it 35, I think. Need fairly large fillets. Like that. Okay. And the reason I've got such large fillets is because I need to fit in some concentric circles or concentric planes. And so the smaller it is, the tighter it is to do that. So let's exit that sketch. And I'm going to show you something now, which I'll show you now because I want to use it again later. But I may have shown this to you before. But I'm going to use that sketch to split this face. Which we're not going to use in this exercise, but it is a way in which you could introduce the modeling inside here by using a plane. So I'm going to use curves split line, and I'm not going to delve into this too deeply. We're just going to use the projection. I've got the sketch selected, and the next command is which face do you want to split. So I'm going to split that face. Say yes. Okay, and so now I actually have this face is split into two. There's two separate faces. The body is still a solid, as you can see if I try and section it. But if I were to do this, I'm going to use this command here called delete face. I think it is under surfaces typically. There it is. There it's delete face. I've put it in features because I use it so often. So delete face, if you delete that face, you've got three options at the bottom: delete, delete and patch, and delete and fill. We're going to use delete because I just want to show you what happens to the model. If I delete it, you'll see that the model is now open. It's just empty. It's a set of surfaces. If I try and section it, there you'll see there's nothing inside. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack on that. That was just, I'm hoping that by repeating that idea, next time I do it, you'll be more familiar with it. So I'm going to do an extrude from a surface. So I want it to go from there. And I want it to come out a little bit. That's because some of the modeling I'm going to do inside is going to sort of extend beyond this face here. All right, so let's go back to there. We don't need 25. Let's make it a bit smaller. I seem to have created millimeters. 10 millimeters, that's great. And then direction 2, I want it to go in by, let's say, another 10 or 6. Maybe 6 will be enough. Or 8. Here you can model it as you see fit. I'm just showing you an example. And now I want to make sure that I do not merge the result, so that I've got two separate bodies when I click the OK command. So there's one and there's two. You can see them in the design tree, solid bodies. It says there are two. If I hide one of them, you'll see the other one sitting on its own. Okay, so that's my body so far. I'm going to introduce a little bit of modeling. So let's put a chamfer in here. Let's give it about quite a steep or shallow angle, depends how you see it. 65, and give it about 8 millimeters, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's going to create one chamfer. And then I want to offset that line on this face. So let's create a sketch on that face. And then we're going to use the offset command. And I'm going to offset my 6 again and go inside. So remember the arrow, you can drag it. Okay, so there's that. I like to drag these out so that I have access to them later. I don't have to go sort of fish around inside the sketch. I'm going to exit that sketch, and I'm going to use that to extrude cut. And now we're going to put in another, say, 60 degree, maybe less, 50. Taper, and then 10 millimeters. You can see that if I put in that taper, that's going to create a sharp point. So this dimension is too large. Let's make it 8 again, maybe a bit less, 7. It's looking good. Okay, so this that face there, that one that's highlighted, should be sort of extruding. Doesn't look like it is. Let's see if we can change this angle. That doesn't make any difference. There we go. So now you can see it's actually extruding up outside of this sort of line, which represents the existing face of the jerry can. So I'm just showing you how you can get this to go in and out. Right. So I'm happy with that. Sort of. It's a little bit tight there, but this is just to show you how to do it. And now that I've got this body available, I want to just mirror it. So we're going to go to the mirror command, and I'm going to select the front plane. And Solidworks, as soon as I select this, it'll say features to manage to mirror. You sometimes might need to select body, because it is actually a body. So let's just see. I think this will work better than feature, because it's not a feature. In fact, let's see if we can make it. Let's see if we can get this to be in error. Nope. It kind of is, because even though it's mirrored, there's nothing there. Look, the mirror command isn't working. So if I change that and I go, I'm showing you this just in case you face this problem. Deselect features, because it's not a feature, it's actually a body. So what you need now is, this is not going to give it to me. I might have to delete this command and start again. So we're going to go back to that. Yes, so here's bodies to mirror command is available to me, so I can select that. And then just go up to my top plane, front plane. There we go. And then now if I do it, it'll do it. So if I scroll up to the top of my design tree, it should show me somewhere in here. There we go. There are 3 bodies: the mirror body, the cut extrude body that I mirrored it from, and then the fillet body, which I'm going to show. So what we're going to do now is just subtract these 2 outside bodies from this main body by using the combine command. So make sure it's on operation type is on subtract. The main body will be this main body, and then the ones you want to take away are these ones here. And you say yes, and then we've got what we need. What I should have done is perhaps put in the fillet. So let's just backtrack a bit. Before mirror, go to extrude. This would have been quicker. Just hide this one. Let's give it a fillet here of 4, and let's give another one here of 4, and there, just to make it simple. Yep, I'll leave it like that. Okay, and so everything should just update when you drag your I don't know what this thing is, this bar. Anyways, when you drag the commands, when you uncover the commands and you make them accessible again, so everything will simply update. Now I just need to now I can put in fewer fillets on this face. So let's make these a bit larger, 5, and I should be able to select that one as well. Okay, and it seems like this edge was not filleted. Let's just go back to that fillet and edit it. It did fillet it, so something else is going on there. The way to check that is just to see how many bodies you have in this item. Where are the bodies? Annotations. We've got just one body. Doesn't show anything else. So something else is happening here. I'm not sure what it is. Let me see if I can fillet this. It seems to be doing it. Okay, so that's some sort of oddity. I'll have to figure that out and get back to you on that one. I'm going to save this in the meantime, just in case something happens, like load shedding. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to shell this, because you need to shell it before you can put in the thread. So go to shell. That's the only bit that we want open. We want this to be about 2.5 millimeters. And if you've done everything correctly, it should be fine. Okay, so 2.5 is less than 4. So, and 4 minus 2.5 will give you 0.5. So that's fine. Sometimes you might get an interference, like if you make this wall thickness too thick and the fillets are too small to accommodate the kind of inwards, what do you call it? Offsetting of surfaces inwards, then you might have a problem. Not usually. Solidworks just usually makes them into sharp edges. Okay, so now to the supposedly difficult part. It might be daunting to you. Hopefully I can make it simpler. So what we need is we need a spiral. So that's how you make threads. You use the helix and spiral tool. If you want to make them yourself, there is a tool. It is called thread. Let's just see where it is. Okay, so it's in the whole wizard. There we go, thread. Now thread, and I'll show you quickly. Generally, and I haven't played with this too much, but generally relies on sort of standard. So we have a metric tap die standard, or a metric die standard, tap and die. Tap is going inwards, die is coming out, I think, if I remember correctly. So you're limited by, at least as far as I can see, you're limited by these design tables. So these are all the standard thread sizes from 1.2 all the way up to 90. So you can't put in your own dimension here, which you might want to if it's like an injection molded, or in this case, blow molded item. So this is something we can explore later as in order to put in a standard thread somewhere. But for now, I'm going to show you the sort of the longer way around, so that you have the ability to have more control over what you want. So we need, in order to get a helix and spiral, I need a circle. So I'm going to pick this face because the circle's got to start on this face. And here I'm going to make a deliberate error or two just to show you how to fix it up. So I'm going to put sketch on that face, and let's choose that edge to go convert entities, and then we can exit it. Okay, so you need a circle on the edge, which is going to be where the spiral starts and ends. So if I put it on the inside one, then, well, that would still work, but it's not, you don't have as clear a picture. So with that selected, I can go to helix and spiral, or you can select it afterwards. Your helix or spiral will probably look different to mine because whatever the last settings were. The pitch is just the distance between 2 points. So that would be distance between that point and that point would be 100. Let's make it about 6, and you'll see that spiral immediately collapses. There is one revolution. You can put increments, like say if I say 1.1, you'll see what happens, or 1.04. Okay, so let's make this about 2.8 because I know that'll work. And it's going in the wrong direction. It is going clockwise, which is right, because clockwise is righty-tighty. Counterclockwise is lefty-loosey. So in pitch, underneath the pitch, there's a reverse direction button. If you click that, it'll go in the opposite direction, so down instead of up. I think you can also click on this button. That won't let you. That's good enough. So let's start with that. Now, the problem that I have with this is that I need to put in a sketch at the end of this edge, this line. I need to put in a triangle, which is going to follow that curve all the way around in the form of a swept boss. Okay, but if I do that, then it's going to stick out at the top. So I need to get that sketch to start a little bit lower. So all I do is back up a little bit. So go up to just one, actually, just this top one, roll back, okay, and put in a plane. So I've selected that face, and I'm going to use the, where is it? Here it is here. The plane command, and I'm going to want the plane to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to say flip offset, and I want it to go down by 2 millimeters because my triangle is going to be about 4. Okay, so now because the plane precedes these sketches in the design tree, I can use it. If I had put the plane in afterwards, I wouldn't be able to use it. So you can see the plane is above the helix. Let me just drag it down to show you. Don't think it'll do it. It's relying on something about the model. Anyways, let's go to that sketch, and we're going to say edit sketch plane, and I'm going to select the plane that I've just created, and it'll place the sketch 2 millimeters lower. So now you can see that the spiral starts a little bit lower, and we can go on to the next step. From here, I want a plane which is perpendicular, normal to the end of this line. So with that line selected, or that spiral selected, I go to reference geometry and say plane, or I can right click and I can say, there we go, that one there. So I want, if I select this plane, you'll see it'll place it for me, but it says it's not defined enough. This bar at the top needs to go green. So it's perpendicular to this line, but it needs, like, where on the line do you want the plane to start, is what Solidworks is asking. I need it to go on the end, so I select the end, and voila, it's now perpendicular to this whole spiral, and it's on the end, which is brilliant because that's where I want to start my sketch. So with that sketch selected, I go and put in a sketch on that plane, with that plane selected, should I say. And there's my origin point, and if I zoom in, let's just zoom in, you can see that the origin point is a little bit offset from this edge. And I can't select this edge, won't let me, it'll only let me select the face. So I'm going to draw a triangle which starts a little bit to the left of that origin point. Like that. And then I'm going to locate, position, position, position. Remember, always position something. Going to locate that triangle on that point. Now, if I select the 2 points, you'll see that there's no way of connecting the two. There's no coincidence. There's this mate fix, which I'm going to use, but not straight away. So the trick here is you can click on a point or a line, but a point in this case, and you'll see on the left-hand side under parameters that it's at the x coordinate of 0, but at the y coordinate of minus 0 point something. If I just type in 0 here, it'll bump that up to 0. So now I know that the end of that line and the origin point are coincident, and I can make fixed. So that now I know that that point is coincident with that line. So now it remains just to put some dimensions in. I want to dimension that line a little bit away from this edge, but I can't use the edge. Instead, I can use that point. So let's say 0.3, and I can also just drag select like this and make them symmetric. There we go. Which means I can get this triangle to be a certain height. Let's say 2 millimeters. And the last thing I need is just to put a width in here, which I'm going to make 4. But 4 would be good. I need to make this a little bit larger because I want to show you what happens if you do get a little bit of an error. So let's make it a bit larger so it extends. When I extrude this, you'll see it'll extrude beyond the edges of this spout, beyond that line there. So the extrusion is very simple. It's the swept boss base, because swept, there's the sweep, is that line there, and then the boss itself would be this one here. So you're asked here for a sketch profile, which is always a closed profile. That's my triangle, and then the next one is the open sketch, which is this one here, which can be in 3D. and there it is, and you say yes, okay. You have the option here, if you need to, of unmerging the result. Obviously we want it merged, we want it all in one model. And so you see I've got a little bit of a problem here now. I've got this line, this edge here extending above that edge. But before I resolve that, I first want to show you how to finish off these ends. And before I do that, let's just put in a fillet. 4 millimeters is way too large. Let's go with 1.5. Should do it. Yeah, we can make it even smaller, 1.2. Okay, that's good. All right, so there are a few ways of getting this face to blend into that part, because that's not how a thread works ideally. Okay, so I'm going to show you the quick method of finishing off this thread. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a problem here at the top. The ideal way is obviously, first of all, to make sure this is something which is not going to create a problem. So I've just used the dimension there to get rid of the problem. But I want to, yeah, let's leave it like that for now. And I'll just show you how to do the quick method. Quick method is to select a face, right click on it and say, create a sketch on that face. I'm not even going to zoom in here. I'm just going to use my convert entities button and exit the sketch, and it'll return me to that object. And I want to revolve this shape around that line. But if I try, it won't allow me to. So no matter what I do, I can try and select the contours. I can give it those ones there, and I can try and get to this. It's not going to work. Now, I'm not quite sure what this is, why this is. It might be something to do with the, I thought it initially with the zero thickness body, but if I unselect the merge all, it still does it. So there's some other problem. The way to resolve this is just to edit the sketch and put in a center line, just a little bit off from that one there, and just make sure that it's vertical like that. It can be quite short, doesn't have to line up with anything. Obviously don't take it too far out, don't take it that way. Make sure it's quite close. You can confirm it by hitting the normal 2 button if you want to. And you can also, I think you can try and give it a dimension, although I suspect it's not going to do that. Ah, yes, you can. Okay, so by using the center of, let's make that 0.5. By using the center of this arc, I've actually created a way to keep that in place. So if you exit now and you try, as long as you select that center line and you say revolve pass, it'll do it for you. Right, so I don't need 360, I just need about 95 degrees, and I need it to go in the opposite direction like that. And so that's that done. So you can do that on the bottom as well. That's the quick way. Let me show you this slightly longer way. So let's delete this with the feature associated with it. All right. And I'm going to deliberately create an error here, 4.5, because I want to show you how, if you really have to have this item in place like this and you get this kind of error, what you can do about it. What I want to do is I want to create a plane which is tangent to that one there, to the spiral. Okay, so if it's going to be tangent to it, I have to select some sort of plane which is going to be maybe this one, and then get the plane to lie tangent to it. But if I go to my reference geometry and I say plane, and I just say perpendicular or parallel, coincident, I need another point. So second reference, although that's fully defined, but it's in the wrong position. So I need to have a sort of a second point along here. And it's not going to allow me to do it because there's a contradiction here between these 2 points. So to resolve that, what you can do is you can put in a point just roughly in the middle of this arc. So this arc doesn't have an apex, doesn't have a vertex in the middle. It's got two on the ends. So the way to resolve that is to go to Sketch, go to your 3D sketch, and because it's 3D sketch, you don't need a plane to start from. So under Sketch, I should be able to select just the point, and then here, just make sure that you've selected somewhere close to the middle of this edge, and then exit it. And then, so now I should be able to select that line and that plane. Let's see if it'll do it. Make sure I'm outside of the sketch. I think I have to exit. Nope. Try that again. There and there. Go to features. Okay. Plane. There we go. It's got it. So it's got that line to line up with, and then this one here to locate, as it were. So now that I know that this is quite well, it's roughly, but it's adequately tangent to the spiral, I can exit it. And I'm going to use that plane to create a smooth curve. Now, if you go and have a look at online tutorials, a lot of them use, they create another spiral. But to do that, we have to go back to this plane here, and then we have to create a circle, and then we have to create a spiral. And then the result is not all that smooth. So I prefer my method, although it's not my method, it's some other people also use this, so I prefer this method. If you want to follow that other method, you're welcome to. I won't penalize you, but I find this more satisfying, so that's why I'm showing it to you. So with that plane selected, I'm going to create a sketch, and I need that sketch to be tangent to this edge here. However, so just got to make sure that you're picking the right edge. Because there is no actual edge, because this point here is on sort of the apex of this fillet, there's no actual point to choose. So if I go back to that line, looks like we're out of that sketch. So let's go back. We have to create that sketch again. No, we're still in sketch. Normal 2. Okay. The way to resolve that is quite easy. If I create a sketch or a line which is horizontal, oops, I hit the escape button there to do that again. Okay, so if that line is horizontal, that would make it tangential to this line because this plane is meeting it in the middle, right? So with that line in place, I can create a 3-point arc going from that point to roughly here. You're not going to be able to see this line very well until I highlight it. Okay, with that selected and that line selected, I can put in a tangent relationship, and then I can move this point around to where I want it to be. So I want it to intersect the top of my lid, my sort of spout. Give it a dimension. Let's make it about 43, and I can also control that dimension there. So let's make that about 15 or so. Yeah, that's good enough. Exit that. So now I've got 2 sketches that I can use, or do I have 2 sketches? Let's see. I don't have another sketch. So I'm going to have to do this, create a sketch on the plane again, and I'm going to convert and exit. And so now I have 2 sketches. I have a closed sketch and an open sketch, and they meet one another. So I can go to the swept boss item. I can select my closed sketch and my open sketch, and there we go. We've got a very neat sweep which creates a very smooth transition between the 2 items. So you can see I've created quite a mess here in terms of the surfaces. A few ways to resolve that is, one is to reduce this number. Let's try 12. All right, so that kind of solves it. Another way would be obviously to use this one here for that would do it. All right, but sometimes you're going to get something like this where the geometry that you want, you don't want to change it, you want to leave it as it is, and you've still got a little bit sticking out here. So here's the magic button. It's called delete face. Yours will be under surfaces, delete face. I put it under features because I use it so often that I want it easily accessible. And when you've got that command activated, you just select the faces you don't want. So that would be these three, 1, 2, oops. Right, where are you? Where are you? Seems to have disappeared. There it is. There it is. Okay, those three there. And just make sure there are no other faces. Yours might have more. And under options, you have 3 options here. You have delete, which you don't want to do because that'll create a hole. You can have delete and patch, which is what we do want to do, and then delete and fill, which doesn't apply in this condition. So if you say OK, it'll delete that face, and there we go. Magically, we've got that disappeared. And then lastly, I just want to put in a fillet. So 1.2, this seems to not be continuous with that line there. That seems to be all right. And there we go. So I could have done this on the other end as well. I'm going to leave that up to you to do. So that's how you create a thread. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.